Hello, my dear student. This is again Teacher Shasha, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you for taking the time and going through your grammar lesson for today. I put a lot of effort in coming up with this video for you. I hope you enjoy and learn something new today.
Okay, so this week's lesson is all about adverbs of manner. So we're gonna go ahead and check comparison of adverbs as well. Objectives for the week would be first to discuss adverbs of manner and its usage, practice the use of adverbs of manner, and also complete an online worksheet to check understanding of the correct usage for adverbs of manner. Now let's go ahead and watch this video for a review of what's an adverb.
Humans on planet Earth, welcome back. Today, the adverb. But what is an adverb? This is a very simple sentence with a subject and a verb. Mona explained. If you want to know how she explained, Mona explained nicely. Nicely is an adverb. You can also say Mona explained badly. Adverb adds more information about the verb, the action, time, way, place, when it happens, how it happens, and where. Examples: when? Yesterday, today, now, tomorrow, later. How? Well, quickly, beautifully, carefully, quietly. Where? Here, there, everywhere, inside, outside. Tom worked yesterday. Tom worked quickly. Tom worked inside. Yesterday tells us when he worked. Quickly tells us how he worked. Inside tells us where. Tom worked quickly. Quickly is the adverb. You can put quickly after the main verb or before it. They're both correct, but one sounds better than the other. Adverb number 2 adds more information about the adjective. To what degree? To what extent? He is strong. Strong is an adjective. It describes the man. He is so strong. So is an adverb. It tells us to what degree. A little or a lot. In this case, a lot. He is so strong. Adverb number 3 adds more information about another adverb. To what degree? To what extent? She writes very nicely. Nicely is an adverb. It tells us how she writes. Very is another adverb. It tells us to what degree. They talk too loudly. Loudly is an adverb. It describes how they talk. Too is another adverb. It tells us to what degree. In this case, it's more than how it should be. Notice that some, not all, some adverbs are originally adjectives plus ly, like loud. That's an adjective. Plus ly, loudly, makes it an adverb. Quickly, beautifully, carefully. Frequency adverbs. They tell us how often we do the action. 0%, never. 5%, rarely, almost never. 50%, sometimes. 90%, usually. 100%, always. Here are some examples. I always drink coffee. I usually drink. I sometimes drink. I rarely drink. I never drink. The coffee is always hot, is usually hot, is sometimes hot, is rarely hot, is never hot. Notice that the frequency adverbs come before the main verb, drink, and they come after the verb to be, is. So, before the main verb, after the verb to be. Time for a wrap-up. Adverb. Number 1. Modifies verbs. When, how, where. Modifies adjectives. To what extent? Modifies adverbs. To what extent? And tells us more about our habits. How often?
So now that we have seen the video, we could say that adverbs does not only modify verb, but all the other things as well. So today we will be focusing on what are adverbs of manner. So adverbs of manner tell us how something happens. They are usually placed either after the main verb or after the object. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a few examples of what are adverbs of manner. Okay, so we have here a few sentences with regard to adverbs of manner. First sentence, he swims well. So what is the adverb right here? Okay, if you say swims, that is correct. And well would be our adverb. So it modifies our verb swim. Next, he ran quickly. So our verb here is ran and quickly is our adverb. Next, she spoke softly. So our verb here is spoke, and the manner would be softly. Next, James coughed loudly to attract her attention. So coughed is our verb, loudly is our adverb. So in these examples, from first sentence to the fourth sentence, all these four has the primary verb modified by the adverb right after. Now, going to the last two sentences, he plays the flute beautifully. So in this case, our adverbs is used after the direct object, which is beautifully, and our direct object would be the flute. So the last sentence is, he ate the chocolate cake greedily. So greedily is our adverb that modifies our direct object, which is chocolate cake. So it's not just the verb that's being modified, it's also the direct object that's being modified. So adverb is not just adjective used to modify the verb, but also it could also modify our direct objects. We're also going to talk about the rules of adverbs of manner. Is an adverb of manner cannot be put between a verb and its direct object. The adverb must be placed either before the verb or at the end of the clause. Now, if you take a look at the first sentence, he ate greedily the chocolate cake. This is considered incorrect because, again, the adverb cannot be put between a verb and its direct object. Here, our verb is ate, our direct object is chocolate cake. To correct that, you can either put greedily after your clause, which means it will be he ate the chocolate cake greedily. Or you could also use he greedily ate the chocolate cake. So you either put your adverb right after the end of the clause or before your verb. So in this case, our verb is ate and our clause is he ate the chocolate cake. Okay, so either you put it at the last part or before the verb. So that's why it's right here. Now another example, he gave us generously the money. So again, you cannot put an adverb between a verb and its direct object. So that is considered incorrect. So to correct that, again, you may put our adverb, which is generously, at the end of the clause. Our clause here is he gave us the money. Or you could put it before the verb, which is our verb is give. So you could put the adverb before the verb. So our adverb is generously. So he generously gave us the money. And that would make the sentence grammatically correct. Okay. If there is a preposition before the verb's object, you can place the adverb of manner either before the preposition or after the object. So let's take a look at our example. Our first example is the child ran happily towards his mother. So you could either put the adverb before the verb's object or before the preposition or after the object. So our object would be the child or before the preposition. Our preposition here is towards. So our adverb is happily. So the child ran happily towards his mother. The next example is the child ran towards his mother happily. So again, right after the preposition or right after the object. So our adverb is again right after the preposition or after the object. So adverbs of manner should always come immediately after verbs which have no object, or what you call your intransitive verbs. So immediately after the verbs which have no object. So our example would be, the town grew quickly after 1997. So our verb is grew. Therefore, our adverb should be right after the verb. So our adverb is quickly. He waited patiently for his mother to arrive. So where is our verb and where is our adverb? So if you said this is your verb, you're correct, and this is your adverb. So one clue for adverbs, usually it ends with ly. But there's a lot more adverbs that we will be talking about in the next lessons that we will have. So usually it's an adjective plus ly. The fourth rule is common adverbs of manner are almost always placed directly after the verb. So what are the adverbs of manner that's commonly used after verbs? Those are well, badly, hard, and fast. In this example, he swam well despite being tired. So again, well, badly, hard, and fast, those are common adverbs that usually used right after the verb. So our verb here is swam. Therefore, our adverb is right after the verb. Okay, the rain fell hard during the storm. So our verb is fell and our adverb hard is right after the verb. Okay. Now let's take a look at the position of adverbs and how it changes the meaning. Now, as the name suggests, adverbs are word that modifies the meaning of your verb. So that's why it's an adverb. Now, depending on where it's placed, it will be changing the meaning of the sentence. So let's take a look at a few examples. So that's why we have to be careful where we put our adverbs, because it changes the meaning if you place it in front of the verb or after the verb or before the direct object or after the direct object. Now let's take a look at Now if the adverb is placed before or after the main verb, it modifies only that verb. If the adverb is placed after a clause, then it modifies the entire action or the whole action described by the clause. So let's go ahead and check the differences between the following sentences. So I have here some example, and let's take a look at the meaning. So our first example, she quickly agreed to retype the letter. Now that we put our adverb before our verb or our main verb, what do you think is the meaning? Okay, so it means that the agreement that they're trying to do is quick, or the agreement is quick. Next, she agreed quickly to retype the letter. It's right after the verb. So our meaning is still the same. It still talks about the agreement. So it still modifies our verb, which is agreed. So in these two examples, it still modifies our verb because our adverb was placed before and after our verb. So which means that we're still trying to talk about the agreement being quick. However, if you put quickly at the end of the clause, then it modifies the entire action. So she agreed to retype the letter quickly. So this time, the meaning is the retyping is quick. So then quickly here modifies another verb, which is retype the letter. So retyping the letter was done quickly. So on the first two sentences, we're talking about the agreement being quick, but on the third sentence, we're now talking about the manner of typing, which is quick. Another example. Let's talk about this sentence. He quietly asked me to leave the house. So the meaning is the request is quiet. So probably he said, can you just please leave my house? So it's not that loud when the person requested him or her to leave the house. So then quietly here is our adverb, which modifies our verb ask. He asked me quietly to leave the house. What do you think is the meaning? Okay, if you said the request is quiet, it still is correct. So it still modifies our verb ask with this adverb quietly. Now let's take a look at the third sentence. He asked me to leave the house quietly. Now our adverb quietly is now at the end part of our clause, which means the leaving should be quiet. So the person should leave the house quietly, meaning maybe making sure that the footsteps are not that loud. Don't bang the door or don't slam the door. So the leaving is quiet. So the person should leave quietly. Unlike the first two sentences, we're talking about the request of the person being quietly done, asking the other person to leave the house. And the third sentence means he asked me to leave the house quietly. This means that the person was asking the other person to make sure that he or she leaves the house quietly without any noise. Okay? All right, I think you're getting the hang of the use of adverbs. Let's go ahead and see some more usage of adverbs. Now, there could be creative ways with using of adverbs, especially literary usage. So sometimes an adverb of manner is placed before a verb plus the object to add emphasis. Example, he gently woke the sleeping woman. Next, she angrily slammed the door. So this time, the adverb of manner is placed before the verb or the object, adding emphasis to the verb. Other usage for literary for adverbs would be some writers or most authors put an adverb of manner at the beginning of the sentence to catch our attention and make us curious about what we are reading, especially if this is a novel or if this is a very suspense or thriller types of books. So for example, slowly she picked up the knife, or roughly he grabbed her arm. Or you could say hastily, she opened her eyes and see that there's a monster in her bed. So those adverbs used before the sentence makes the reading more eventful or more interesting. Start with a few exercises to see how good you are with the use of adverb or identifying adverbs and its usage. Let's go ahead and do some exercises. Okay, so let's go ahead and answer this very quick exercise on identifying what's the correct adverb. Okay, so on this exercise, it says here, find the adverb in this sentence and drag it to the gray box. So the sentence is, the creaky old house loomed spookily. What do you think is your adverb here? Okay, pretty easy. Let's go ahead and try spookily. Let's check. All right, great work. So you got it. Let's move on. Which word or phrase does the bolded word refer to? The buffalo ambled toward us slowly. So the bolded word is slowly. So which word or phrase does slowly refer to? A, buffalo, B, ambled, C, toward us. 5 seconds to think of your answer. Okay, correct. It is ambled because that is right. That is the verb of this sentence. Next. Find the adverb in this sentence and drag it to the gray box. I'm so glad you can come to the party. Okay, the correct answer is so. It modifies. It's an adverb of degree. Next. Which word or phrase does the bolded word refer to? We've finally made a decision. Which word or phrase is finally referred to? Okay, let's check. Great work. So that is made because that's the verb. So your adverb was placed before the verb, so it modifies the verb. If the adverb was placed at the latter or at the end of the clause, then it modifies the entire action of that clause. Let's see. Okay, great. We were able to answer all the questions correctly. So keep it up and you will get some more exercises or worksheets through your email via Google Classroom. Great job. So now that we have discussed adverbs of manner, let's go ahead and summarize our lesson for this week. So the first would be adverb of manners or adverbs answers the questions how an action happened, when or how often something happens, or to what extent. Now, adverbs of manner specifically tells us how something happened. They are usually placed either after the main verb or after the object. And to make it easier, normally put your adverbs right after your verb or before your verb, just to make it right, or just to make it sound right. If you're not so sure if you wanted to put it at the end. Position of adverbs is important as it changes the meaning. So whether you put it before the verb or right after the sentence. So if it's before or after the verb, then it just modifies the verb. But if you put it after the clause or the object or the main object, then it modifies the whole action described by the clause. So be careful, because if you put your adverbs on the wrong position, it then changes what you mean. Okay, so that's the end of our lesson for today.
Oh, and that's the end of our lesson for this week. That was really fast, right? Hope you learned something new today. And don't forget your homework. I will be checking on it really soon. And please remember, you are unique, you are awesome. Please thank your parents or your loved ones who supported you today. This is Teacher Shasha saying goodbye. Have a great day.